Hi, this is Kelly O'Mara from Feisty Media, and we wanted to drop in to share this episode of our women's sports podcast called The Feist, because we thought you'd enjoy this preview of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Now, even if you know everything already about cycling, I'm sure you'll find something you don't know in today's episode or in our interview with Kate Veronneau from Zwift, who has been a key person behind this historic event. And if you enjoy the episode, be sure to follow The Feist, which comes out every Thursday. We also cover all the latest in women's sports from the week. This week, that includes our favorite highlights from the WNBA All-Star Game, our American Ninja Warrior Feisty picks of the week, and we get into the biggest stories and the history, analysis, and context you need. This week, unfortunately, that's all about the marathon world record holder getting busted for doping. Every Thursday, The Feist covers the latest in women's sports, the untold stories of female athletes, and gives you the feisty take you need so you're ready to be a part of this movement in women's sports. Now, we're just sharing this episode on this feed right now, so be sure to follow The Feist on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube Music. We'll share a link in the show notes so you get every weekly future episode of the only podcast covering all women's sports.
I thought you were starting.
I am. I'm just centering myself, Kelly. The WNBA All-Star Weekend, a doping scandal, and behind the scenes on the making of the Tour de France Femmes. Just another week here at your favorite podcast.
Your favorite podcast. Yeah, perfect. Great opener.
What I was trying to say is, on the podcast that covers your favorite sports with your feistiest friends, but it didn't quite, from brain to mouth, didn't quite connect. Anyway, hi, Kelly.
I feel like on your favorite podcast works too. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. It's great.
It's great. It's going great.
Yeah, we have a lot of sports. 5. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say we have a lot of sports. So lots of things happening this week.
I know. There's so much that it's hard to, each week as it comes around and we're recording again, and I have to make sure I'm caught up on all the events of women's sports that week. It's a lot happening, which is great, which I'm excited about. But there's a lot of stuff happening.
There's a lot of stuff happening. It is for people who still watch TV on regular TV with channels and a remote. I know I'm like one of 5.
You do that, don't you?
Yeah. So do old people. It's fine. And so when I scroll every weekend, I gotta tell you, there's so much women's sports on. I could softball, AUSL was on this weekend. It's kind of hard to pick. You become overwhelmed by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching some Euros, of course. So what we watched this weekend, Euros. And I just happened to catch the first 10 minutes of the France-Germany. And if you saw this, in the first 10 minutes, a German player got thrown out of the game.
Oh, really?
For pulling.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a penalty.
Uh-huh.
And France still lost.
I know.
Oh my God.
And Germany won. That's wild. Yeah.
It went to a penalty shootout. Once you're at a penalty shootout, it's kind of honestly crapshoot, right? I know everybody acts like it's not, but it is. Mm-hmm. But I was just France is cursed at major tournaments. They cannot win. Yeah.
Oh, do you have an emergency in your neighborhood, Kelly?
Oh, yeah. There is a fire station down the street from me, and apparently there is a fire.
Oh, I'm surprised. This is the first time we've seen. Okay, what makes you say France is cursed?
Well, okay, so they've been favorites at a number of, when we were in Paris Olympics last year, they were actually the heavy favorites. I was very concerned they were going to knock the U.S. out. They did not. World Cup, they were heavy favorites. They have not been able to advance past quarterfinals in a major tournament. And then they became convinced that this was a mental block. And so apparently this year they've hired this mental coach, psychologist who is on the bench, on the sidelines with them, which is and they still lost. But he says it's not because of their mental game.
Of course he says that.
Right. So anyway, I don't know what's going on there. I feel bad for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at some point, France is going to unlock this problem and make a big comeback. So we can just wait for that.
We can just wait for that. It's been a while because I don't even know if you all can remember all the way back to the 2019 World Cup. It was in France. They're supposed to do super good. So they've had a lot of years here of major tournaments being slightly underwhelming, which is unfortunate for them. But right now, as we're recording, It is semifinals, so I'm not going to predict who makes the finals. By the time you hear this, the semifinals will be over. And then the finals are, this weekend. So.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I like it when it's coming down. I mean, everybody does, right?
You like the finals? Weird.
I like the finals. I know. I'm such an unusual sports fan, you know? I was with a family member this weekend who really I wouldn't say she was someone who was like highly invested in women's sports. You know what I mean? Like this new surgence of women's sports is is kind of like new to her thinking, right? And it was interesting because she was talking about, because she lives in Switzerland, and she was talking about Euros being there, and was like, Sarah, I was very surprised by how I felt about watching women.
Oh, really?
Right? Like this, like interesting to hear her for the first time kind of processing this thing of like, oh, it actually made her feel like, oh, maybe I could do that, even though she's in her 50s and can't do that.
You're like, probably not. We're not going to judge.
Whatever. We're just, stacked against her, really. But I think, it's like that same feeling that I had when I watched, that we all have when we watch. But it was interesting just to hear someone like processing that for the first time. They're like, oh, actually, there is a difference. Like and in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, like if that difference is from kind of an unsuspecting, like someone who's kind of watching because there's a big championship going on in their country, you know?
Right.
That's, I don't know. I just thought it was like very cool to go, yeah, exactly. Like,
you're like, yes, welcome. Yeah,
exactly. Welcome everyone who's wondering, anyone who listens who isn't sure, like me, you know, I'm out there trying to find like new sport. I'm trying to find new sports to watch. I watched boxing for the very first time last week, you know, that it really does have that, like, it's a very different effect on me. It resonates much more deeply than watching men's sports again.
I do think Euros has been super interesting. I mean, the last time around, the 2022 tournament, which I'm trying to think, because it was delayed a year. It's been interesting to watch Europe get into women's soccer, because Europe is soccer mad, right? Like they already love it. It's like one thing for like the US to get into women's, as we talked about like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But Europe cares so much about soccer. Now for them to get into the women's, it has come with some downsides. Like one of the English players spoke out about like she's been getting a lot of racial abuse directed at her because English soccer fans are not chill.
Right.
Right. So I was trying to think of a nice way to say that. So it's come with a lot of like, and then as sports betting has increased too, that's also come with a lot of harassment. So that's the downside, but it is like super interesting to watch Europe get really behind. It's soccer.
Behind the soccer. And I saw that Basel, it was actually 12 traffic lights that they changed to have the walk symbol be the woman footballer, and that they're thinking of keeping them that way, like not going back to the little green man. There will be 12, hopefully if they finalize that, 12 traffic lights, well, crossing signals, I guess, in Basel, where you can see a little female football player instead of the green man. Love it.
Switzerland did get knocked out, though. So sad.
I know. We saw that. They did well, though.
Good for them.
For Switzerland, for what we were expecting, I think. I don't know what we were expecting.
I don't know. What were you expecting?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think, obviously, they're good. They're not like the powerhouse of like England or France or Germany or Netherlands. But
Exactly. And we have 4 powerhouses in or going into the semis, right? We've got France, Germany, England,
not France.
and Spain.
We just discussed
right?
that France got knocked
Germany,
out. Italy,
Spain, and England. Yeah. My apologies.
But that'll be decided by the time you listen to this. Watch the finals. As Sarah explained, everybody loves finals. It is on regular broadcast TV, so even if you're an old person, you can watch it on regular broadcast TV, which I know everybody hates on, but actually literally more viewers watch when it's on broadcast TV. So
yeah, more viewers watch. And I think as we look into, like, I really loved the way that that Netflix played the boxing live. Like, I know that there were streaming services that were streaming the Olympics, but then those would also sit just as videos in the video collection. And so the more that happens, I think the more we'll bring more young audiences too into
the young people,
into women's sports, Kelly.
Oh, good.
On the streaming
what did,
platforms.
Speaking of, you know what else I watched a lot this weekend? I did not watch the WNBA Skills Challenge. I did, however, watch the live stream on like the Twitch Stud
You
Buds
did?
live stream, because it was all like, I mean, I don't really watch Twitch, but people were sharing it other
Talking
places.
about it for sure.
Yeah, because they were just full on live streaming 72 hours of All-Star Weekend, all the behind the scenes, like the parties,
Okay,
the meetings.
explain to me, is this like somebody with an iPhone?
It is 2 players on Minnesota, I believe. So obviously they have the in and they like know everybody and they're like, much beloved within WBA. And so they have this kind of, stream that they've done before. And I think it just sort of took off this weekend because they were having a good time and partying with their phones. Yeah. With all the other players. So there are all these like viral moments, like, Caitlin Clark's teammate, Aliyah Boston, taking her drink from her before like you could see her taking her drink away as she's like going on camera. The WNBA commissioner, Kathy, was like dancing with them at the after party.
I saw that.
Yes. So I think that was just like really funny. I just appreciated, right? I like appreciated that it was like they were having a good time.
Yeah, and I think this is like, I think it's like case in point for how women's sports fandom and movement is growing, right? It's like things like that. It's like players with iPhones behind the scenes. So like 60,000 people watch that Twitch stream,
Something
right?
like that.
So like you can then watch behind the scenes all this fun stuff going on, like the commissioner of the WNBA dancing. Like so cool.
Right. Yeah. So I will say, I didn't watch too much of the actual like basketball, but I was all there for the parties and I seemed like some of them might have been slightly hungover for the actual basketball.
Oh,
a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you knew because you were watching behind the scenes because you can.
Yeah.
I watched the skills challenge.
Okay.
Or I watched part of it and then I watched like all the highlights too. But like I had never watched it before, so the entire format and everything was new to me, which was like so cool. So for those who don't know, you like they set up like a little course for the players to do, right? And you have to do a combination of bounce passes, a chest pass, some different shots. So definitely a 3-pointer and a couple other shots before you, and it's all speed based. So you don't get like, so for example, when you come up to the 3-point line, if you hit the first one, you get to move on to the next station. Right. But you get a total of, so you could like miss 3 and that doesn't take anything away from you except the time that it took you to take 3 shots versus the person who hit the first one. Right. So I thought that was like super interesting and cool. And it was all like the big light up circles they have to put like the passes into.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Okay.
And watching sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I saw some of the 3-point contests because Sabrina Ionescu is obviously a really big deal and she won again. And then I heard she donated half her money to charity and half her money to like the only rookie who was in the 3-point contest.
Yes. Because she had said beforehand that she was going to do that if she won, which I love. And Natasha Cloud, who won the skills competition, was going to use the money for a down payment on a house.
Nice.
Which I love. Like honestly, like that really for me, because I did that before, like very early in my tri career.
Okay.
It was sort of like if I had an offer in on it wasn't a house, it was a tiny condo, but it was the first condo I ever bought, and I had it all set up, and I needed like to come in the top 3 in order to be able to afford the down payment. Otherwise, I was going to be on the phone like asking a relative to save me. But I really thought, I was very confident. I was like, I can do this. And I came second in the race.
Okay.
And I put my down payment down. It was like a very sweet, like sports moment for me. So when I heard her say that, when I heard Natasha Cloud say that she was doing the same, I was like, oh yes, I love this.
Obviously, the big moment of the weekend was when they all came out and they took their warm-ups off and they were all wearing t-shirts that said, pay us what you owe us.
Yes.
Which is part of the whole WNBA CBA negotiations because the league and the players are negotiating right now for a new contract. And what's the last? It's not going well. They're not
the negotiations not going well?
No, they're not. Negotiations are not going well, according to the Twitch live stream.
Oh, well, that's the behind the scenes. So
right.
You're in the know.
No, I think they've been at an impasse, right, over this whole like the players want to be paid more. So anyway, I thought it was really cool. And I think we see this over and over and over again in women's sports, like the organizing Like soccer's talked about it, the U.S. women's hockey's talked about it, how they organize to get everyone on board. And so clearly, and that was the other part, you could see them all meeting to like plan this on the behind the scenes live stream.
Now I feel like I've really missed out.
Not that like they said they were going to do the t-shirts, but like that they had meetings to talk about it.
Right.
So yeah, they clearly, and like they got everyone on board, even the hungover players. So it was, and you can buy, I will say, you can now, don't buy a knockoff. There are knockoffs out there of the shirt.
Oh, there's knockoffs already?
Of course there are. But you can also buy an official one licensed from the Players Association that then the money goes back to the Players Association. And you can buy one that says pay them what they owe them. Because apparently all the fans then in the stand were chanting, pay them.
Oh, I love that.
Good.
Okay, so you can buy a shirt. Right. I thought it was like super, I really think, Kelly, I think they have to pay them. Like, I think this is a moment.
It is.
That, like, basically you have this league. It's massively on the rise, right? They're trying to contract this deal, which is literally just the same deal that the men had, like we talked about last week. They have to do it.
No, I think you're at a point, because I will tell you, like, general fan, like, I talk to a lot of people kind of generally in, like, in businessy stuff, right? And even the people who are like, oh, well, the WNBA was a charity before, they're like, well, even they are kind of like, it's not. Like, how could you have tripling revenue and not be increasing? How could team valuations and franchise fees have gone up that much and yet the players aren't? How could Caitlin Clark be worth $1 billion and yet only be paid $76K? Like, it just doesn't make sense to people anymore. So
totally. And what they're asking for is a percentage of the revenue. So it scales as they grow. It's not like the same contract. It's not like the literal same amount of money as the men get in the NBA, which really we could ask for.
But you could ask for, yeah. But they're saying
it's a percentage.
The standard in male athlete leagues is about 50% of revenue goes back in athlete compensation, and WNBA is only at like 9.8%, and that's ridiculous. So.
Yeah.
And I will say
9.8%. It's almost funny compared to 50%.
The other thing is, if you're on the WNBA Players Association has an Instagram, naturally. And their slogan is, it's just a business, which is like, I actually think is a really good slogan right now, because they're like, like, it's business, man, just pay us. And so that they obviously were posting a bunch of all these t-shirts and everything. And the U.S. women's national soccer team is all up in there commenting, being like, yeah, pay them. So it's like a whole circle.
Oh, I love this. I think they have to.
Yeah.
Like,
so I don't see how they get it. I'm sure, there'll be more arguments about it, but I just don't see, it's kind of like when the U.S. women's national team sort of set the stage in this debate like 10 years ago or whatever, and you had people at parades and stuff chanting like, pay them. Like, I think the tide has turned, right?
It's going to go to that level. And especially because it's like the reason they're not paying them is based on this legacy of like saying, like you just said, like the WNBA doesn't make any money, blah, blah, blah. It's really, really hard to argue that now in a public facing arena.
I think I did tell you to somebody that this week, if they were like, okay, well, it used to be, it used to not make money and be like a charity. Like, by that standard, like every tech business in San Francisco doesn't make money into the charity.
Everything. And there are still like massive men's sports leagues that have losing like years where revenue is lost. Like, that's it. Every business has years when they're not profitable. Like,
I also think it's sort of this is a Kelly random point. Like, but like, what is profitability anyway? Like, because if you're just going to pay yourself whatever you want to pay and then call that a cost, then like, is that profit or is it not, right? If I can say like, well, I earned out of my time is worth X amount and I need this much money as the commissioner or as the front office staff, but that's not a profit, that's just part of the cost of doing business, then like, why is the players not just part of cost of doing it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So.
Yes, like every business, public or private, makes decisions about how they're going to finalize revenue at the end of the year, if they're paying dividends, if they're not, how much, like you said, like how much they're paying their employees, their senior executives, etc., what they're investing in. Like, it's
so pay them, and you can get a sticker. I wanted a sticker that said pay the players, but I couldn't find. But you can get a pay them. You can get a t-shirt. So
you can get just pay them on the
pay them what you owe them is the t-shirt.
Pay them what you owe them on the t-shirt. Okay, yeah. I think I might need one of these, Kelly. It feels like a universal Although I kind of like the pay us what you owe us too,
Yeah,
because it had like a
But you
vibe
can
of
also
like,
get one of those.
yeah, like, oh, you can. It's like, because it kind of like then it like transcends.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what I took away from the All-Star Weekend. I will say they also did not get that big. I was like, oh well, they did a break for All-Star Weekend and they're like partying, and it's like they were like it was not a long enough break because a lot of them were playing regular games either Tuesday or Wednesday.
wow.
And then they were then they were flying, and then they're back playing this Wednesday. Like I'm going to a game on Friday here, so it's like it was not a long break. Which some of them said it was.
And how many of your Valkyries players were there?
I only believe like one Valkyries player. The Valkyries are an interesting, obviously we've talked about this before, an interesting thing where no one expected them to be good this year. No one expected them to be as valuable as they are. No one
Be the
expected
highest valued team within like, months of launching.
Women's sports. Yeah. And so they don't have like any super big superstars. They have very solid players that are like very well respected within the league.
Yeah.
But it's sort of just like how they've come together. So.
Well,
Anyway.
next month in August, I'm going to a WNBA game in Vancouver, and you know what it means when they start putting random games in a location.
To test it. No.
I think so.
I know, but I told you that's not going to happen before 2030 because they have 5 more teams already coming in the next. You know what I mean? They already have like Portland announced their name for their new team, the Fire, I believe. Because that was their old team 20 years ago when they had a team.
Oh, cool.
And that comes next year. Toronto Tempo comes next year. So those 2 are next year. And then the next 3 are 1 a year for the 3 years after that. So I know you want Vancouver, but I'm telling you it's not coming before 2030. So.
Right. And if I'm going to take wild behind the scenes guesses of the WNBA books, let's just do it. There's a relationship between team expansion and what percentage you're paying the players. Right?
Yes.
In terms of like where you have to make money decisions. So
yeah. But they are testing out the Canadian market a little more.
The Canadian market, I love it. Vancouver. Vancouver's such a great sports city too. Like
the Bay Area is not a great. This has always been the thing. Is like the Bay Area is not a big sports city. Well, the joke has always been that we'd rather be outside doing the sports than watching the sports, because
that's the same in Vancouver, except. I don't know. I feel like that they're the same people. Like there's some of the same people, the people who want to, especially in like women's sports, right? Maybe in men's sports, it's a little bit different because you have the people who sit on a Sunday afternoon and watch football versus the people who are out cycling all day on a Sunday.
Right.
But like men's football, but then in women's sport, there seems to be more just like active people. Like the women who do the sports also watch the sports.
I think that's true. And I'm sure now, like, there's recent Bay Area fans who tell me it's a great town. But I'll just tell you, this is the ongoing debate here. And the game, so I'm going to a game on Friday with my mom. I picked it because it's a game where we're playing Dallas Wings because Paige Beckers is playing. And I want to see Paige Beckers. Yeah. The other big thing out of the WNBA All-Star was she revealed her girlfriend.
I saw that.
I am so here for the gossip. This is like, we really should just run a sports gossip show. What
day did she reveal that? What day did that happen?
Friday they do like a red carpet that's really an orange carpet. And and there's like this, again, there is a streamer, Instagram, TikTok video called Wags Talk. So Wives and Girlfriends.
I saw it.
Interviews, right. And so she was interviewing Paige, like, how much do you know about your girlfriend? Like, it was all these questions, and she knew everything, right? She like all these super obscure questions about, you know how like if someone quizzed you about your partner, would you be able to get all the right?
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They're like quizzing you, like, what do you know? Can you answer these questions about your partner?
Yeah.
And then at the end, she was like, "Okay, and who is your girlfriend?" And there was this, and she was like revealed it because it's been this joke, not joke, not the right word. They have joked about it. It's been like kind of a like, are they, aren't they? Is it for real? Because Azifad was the UConn teammate.
Yeah.
When they won the national title, they used to play youth AAU ball together. So.
Oh, they played together at youth level?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, it's amazing.
I love that. Okay.
I also saw somebody joke that like
who would you trust with your like a secret for with your life? And it was the entire Yukon team because they kept that thing a secret for 4 years. And that's the end of the list. Like the whole Yukon team is who I would trust with a secret.
They kept that a secret for 4 years.
Well, obviously everyone on the team knew, but I was saying nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Out of the team. Yeah.
What reason would they have for keeping that a secret?
Well, I just say I don't think they were ready to go public and have it be a
Right.
thing while they were still in college. And like, I mean, Zwift is still in college, but like, so they just like weren't going public with it. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying their teammates just like didn't say anything.
They
to the
didn't say
public.
anything. Yeah, they
Even
really
as
didn't.
they were like on TV, even, you know, like UConn's a big
Yep.
media.
Yep. That the March Madness tournament is huge. There's a lot of
So
attention.
I'm just saying good for them.
Good for them.
Good for them. All right. And that's what we watched this weekend. Before we get to what we're watching this upcoming weekend, because we are going to talk all things Tour de France Femmes, avec
Yeah.
Zwift. That is starting on Saturday. It's huge. We have a big preview. But first, Sarah, we got to get in the weeds. News of the week.
Yes.
Very unfortunate. We got to go.
Sad news of the week.
Sad news. We're like, what's the like on TV cable news when they like shift their like, and now for a sad story, right? And
Yeah.
they, like, turn to a different camera. That's
You
what
did
we're
a
doing
good
right now.
job. You did a good job of it. Yeah. Camera 2.
Camera
Sad
2.
story.
Sad. Yeah. The world record holder in the marathon, Ruth Chepngetich. I said that weird. From Kenya, just got popped for doping. Is technically provisional right now, which means that she could
Yeah.
appeal it. That's like a whole different thing about like the process, but she's accepted a provisional suspension for now. What it technically is a diuretic.
Yeah, a diuretic, which could be used as a masking agent.
Yeah. So the reason for people who haven't had to like sit through a anti-doping seminar as a pro athlete, the reason like diuretics and like IVs and that kind of thing are banned is because they can basically water down banned substances and make it
Yes.
harder for them to test. So this is a diuretic, a masking, and because it is a thing that can be found in other drugs, the amount that qualifies as a doping suspension, if that makes sense, is higher. Like it's like pretty high. Like a lot of anti-doping, a lot of drugs that are banned, the amount's very, very small that
Yeah.
if they detect it, you get a ban. This is pretty high because it is in other drugs. And she was still like 30 times the limit or something. Like it's like it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not accidental. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, I mean, this is how you end up, like, for someone, I mean, yeah, you were a pro athlete too, and, like, I've been on doping control lists for a few years, and it's weird, like, the list of things that you can't take gets really weird really quickly,
Yeah.
and you're like, why this or why this? And a lot of it has to do with like, this. Like, it's whatever she took was a diuretic, but it's used to, like, stop the testing for, you know.
I would just say that. I would say it. Are you ready? Hydrochlorothiazide.
Oh, there we go. Thank
There we
you
go.
for the
So, yes.
accuracy. But yeah, like you look at that, you think, and then, you know, you might be taking meds for something else, and then that's
Yeah.
that's one of the substances in your meds. You're like, well, why can't I take that? And then it also gives you an appreciation for like how doping control has to manage all this stuff, because
Yes.
they're like, it's not just like, oh, they had EPO in their system, right? Like it's not as simple as that. It's
No.
like you have to look at all of the other substances, like all of the other things that people do to hide doping and ban those things too. Yeah.
And I will say, in general, I'm on the side of like athletes, and I feel pretty bad for. I mean that like I think we should like give them more leeway to like prove their innocence, because it's very much a system of like you're presumed guilty and you have to prove you're innocent. It doesn't work the way we think of like courts working in America. Like
Yeah.
there is no presumption. Like you are presumed guilty, and then you have to like really, really, really prove that somehow this was an accident or you was contaminated. Like the presumption is on that. And I generally feel bad for athletes because I think a lot of people think that like athletes have like all this management team and like they know what's in everything they take. But I will tell you, like most athletes in like running or triathlon or cycling, it's just them. And they like are looking at a case of Sudafed and being like, I'm sick. Can I take this Sudafed or not?
Yeah.
And that can be very
and then you're
overwhelming.
like, and
right?
you're looking at words that are like whatever you just said, hydra, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And then you're like comparing that word, which like hydra, like how many ingredients have that at their beginning? You're like looking through a list and then looking through all of the ingredients on your especially in the old days before the internet where you couldn't like
Right. There's like
cross-reference
a online database now that athletes can use to look it up, so it's a lot easier. Like you can put in like NyQuil and it'll be like, this is banned in these sports at this time, whatever. So usually I feel bad for athletes and I'm like, well, it is a lot. It doesn't work the way people think it does outside. But yes, this is not one of those cases of like, oops, you accidentally took a Dayquil. Like, no.
Yeah, especially because she then dropped immediately. She was supposed to race
London.
London. And she dropped out. And so immediately, like, so because if it comes back, because right now it's provisional, right? And if it comes back, whatever is after provisional, certain, like if it comes up with an actual doping violation, then she, like anything that she did at the London Marathon would be stripped from her. So, and I think what she said was that she wasn't mentally therefore prepared to race, which is probably true. Yeah. The other interesting thing, Kelly, when I was like reading this is that like Kenya, I didn't realize this, but Kenya has 140 people currently on doping bans. And whereas Russia has 61. So
which is interesting.
Kenya has more than double the people on doping bans. So
in running, to be totally clear, like Russia's are cross sports.
Right.
Yeah. Kenya has a very deep, like, running doping problem. And I'm not saying other countries don't. Like a lot of times that can sound a little bit racist because you're like saying like, oh, well, they have a problem, but we don't here in America. But like, obviously we do. The problem I think in Kenya is that it is one of the biggest sports there. It is the way to make money. It's kind of like in soccer in England, they're getting targeted with abuse because it's so big that, right? Like once you reach a certain size, it becomes like the way you make money and the way you get out of poverty and the way you pay for your house and the way you, then there's a lot of other incentives to cross lines and there's a lot of agents. This is the other problem with some of these countries. There's a lot of agents that come in and take advantage, especially of women in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in these places that have like very good running culture, but not a super strong like women's rights culture as much. And like, and so there have been some very, very shady agents that are also like taking advantage. Yeah. And her agent is one of the people who has a number of people who are currently banned.
Oh, interesting.
Great.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, it's when there's other places in sport where like there's also the systemic factor, right? Like we saw with Russia a few Olympics ago. No, my memory's like like working against me. But if like, so in cycling, for example, and we're going to talk about cycling here, but like I know there's like certain teams and periods of time in cycling history where like you basically, in order to decide the team, they took certain blood marker numbers, and if your numbers didn't hit, you didn't get onto the team, and then you weren't going to the Tour de France. And so like you can see where that starts to create a structure of like, okay, what can increase my blood markers from the team's perspective to show that I'm fit enough to go to the Tour de France? Well, this. Or sometimes you even have teams where it's like you have to be taking X substance or you can't go. This is historically, this is not not like I don't know what happens now. I really don't. But I know that there have been periods of history like that, and you know that there have been times with teams and even federations where these kinds of like systemic doping issues take place, which is kind of sad. And I'm not saying that's happening here, but 140 people on doping bans in Kenya certainly has there's a red flag there.
I will say the other thing that a lot of athletes have pointed out is, I think, again, from like an outside perspective, it's like, okay, well, we caught her and everyone just moves up one spot and gets the prize money now and like it's solved. But the problem is that like that changed. Like take her setting the world record at Chicago, for example, right? Which was that changed how that race was run. Like she went out in like a fucking crazy ass pace. And so then the people who thought they had a chance at winning are like, holy shit, like what is that? And they blow their legs out and they do and they don't finish and they blow up and that happens at race after race. And then those times are used to set the standards for the Olympics or for Olympic trials. And so then you're trying to achieve trials or qualifying times that were set by dopers and you can't. So how are you supposed to achieve, right? So then you're blowing yourself out and you think you're not good enough and you're not, right? And then that prize money that was used to pay her to come and set a world record could have been used over, like, 'cause she ran Chicago 3 or 4 times, whatever. I'm just using Chicago as an example. Could have been used to pay for other athletes to come, right? So it has this like trickle down effect that I don't think people always realize. Alicia Montano, the 800 meter runner, She lives here locally. And I talked about like she's talked about this a lot. Like now she would have had like 2 Olympic medals, but that's 12, 16 years after the fact. And she never got that money at the peak of her career. She never had those sponsorships. It took like
the celebration.
The celebration, but it's also like if she had had a bronze medal in 2012, that would have changed her options in 2013, 14, 15.
Yes.
And it would have changed her, right? And so it has more than just the effect of that one thing.
Yeah. There's the medals level, and then there's even the level below that, especially when we're talking about track and field, like of being selected for the team, right?
Yes.
Which I certainly know athletes who feel that they have not been selected for a team and that there's a knock-on, or someone later gets, within their own country, gets a doping violation, and they literally didn't get to go to the Olympics because that person got chosen instead of them. So there's definitely like massive domino effect that kind of ricochets across the sport.
I will say the last thing is that it is a little sad that like the first woman to run under 210, she ran a 209 marathon.
Yeah.
Turns out to have been doping. And it was really, and at the time, especially all these dudes were like, it's not possible. She's obviously doping. And it's like, she's not, I mean, yes, turned out she was. And I think a lot of us were like, it's like, she might be doping, sure. But I don't want us to jump to that. It's not like women can't run a 209. It's not like that. It's impossible. I don't want us to
It's only a matter of
that.
time that someone else does it again. It's just, that is like a sad, heartbreaking side effect of this too.
So now the world record goes back, I guess, to being 211.
Okay.
So somebody has to, somebody
else, come on out. It's wide open. If all you have to do is run under 211 for a marathon, the world record is yours. This is your sign.
All right. What is this? Now we're going to change cameras, Sarah. We're going to
changing
back to happy news.
Back to happy news. Okay, what's coming up this week is what we're
I do watch a lot of local news. And I should get it right where they're like, in happier news.
Yeah,
this weekend.
There you go.
Yeah.
You should. You've worked for like mainstream media, like NPR and stuff. You know how to do this.
Make
Kelly.
the transition.
You got it.
Yeah. In other races, this weekend is the Tour de France Femmes, and that was what we wanted to do. I mean, that's what we're going to be watching. When you ask like, what sports are we watching this weekend? It's the TDFF. And so we did want to do a big preview today. Did want to talk about it. I feel like for people who don't know, high level, Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. This is its 4th edition. This is the longest one yet. It is 9 stages, has some of the longest stages, like queen stages at the end, which means like super big climbing. There's teams. Every team has 7 riders or 9 riders. And you try to go for the GC, which is the general classification. But basically the total time over the 9 days, fastest person wins. And then there's also like races within the race. You can be like the best young rider, the best climber, the best sprinter. You can win an individual day, which is calling like a stage win, but not win the overall. The teams try to like support their contenders. So that like, so somebody might be riding in it, but not actually like be like way off, like not ever win, not ever be close to anything. But their job is to like protect their rider or like help them. Or
they're a domestique. That is
right.
Their job is to
there's
help
all
someone
these
else.
different...
It's a team. It is a team sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like people who we do have, like we have a couple people at Feisty who are new to cycling, and one of the asked, she was like, so how do you win? Like who wins?
Yeah.
Because it does get a little confusing.
It does get a little confusing because you can have someone, I mean, by the time you get the last day, because the time is cumulative, right? Like you can have someone doesn't necessarily like cross the line, or there's like their teammates are there, or what's happening, or why is there a sprint, but the person who seems to be winning doesn't care about the sprint. Right. There's lots of like dynamics going on that, but it's like any sport, right? Like that's the same as watching basketball or baseball, right? Like if you don't understand the dynamics of like the pitcher, catcher, and batter, you sure won't have fun watching baseball. So it's the same thing. It's similar.
It's similar. But yeah, it is a little confusing if you're watching. You're like, why did the person in 4th just start cheering? Yeah. Because like they crossed the line 4th, but then they really beat the person they were trying to beat, so they won the overall. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, I did like a little... I feel, Kelly, that I've learned the last few weeks that I have an interest in like cycling history. Like,
Oh,
I
history.
think it's.
I was like, I
yes.
thought you knew you had an interest in cycling before.
No, I thought you already knew. No, and I think I already knew I had an interest in cycling history, but specifically cycling history. And I think it really relates to, and I think this came up in a previous episode, how like the bicycle itself has been such like a freedom giver to women, you know, like it was like that was how it was like the first mode of transportation when women were kind of in post-industrial revolution in homes. Like the nuclear family was kind of at its peak, and then like how did women prior to that they could only walk places, so the bicycle
Right.
gave them a chance to like get out of the house to meet, and then you have like the suffragettes and so it goes, right? And so like I think yeah, the bicycle really like it, I don't know, it just sits in my head in this like place that's aligned with like the freedoms women have and women's involvement in sport. And then you have the sport of cycling, which of course has been like almost a little bit, what'd you call it? Like very slow to change,
Right.
if you will, in this new era of women's sports. But we have all these like wonderful little like attempts to have a women's Tour de France.
That's what I was
throughout
going to say,
history.
is if you look back, like most people will say the first one was 84 when there was like an actual women's tour in conjunction
Yeah, well,
with the
there was
men's
one in
tour.
1955.
That's what I was gonna say, but there really was secretly, like one way back when that was like 13 or 14 stages, but it only
Yeah.
had like 30 or 40 riders finish it.
Right. It's just like
It was
great.
smaller. It was like this small little, 1955.
Yeah. Yeah, just that was just like women just getting on the bikes and going, we can do this too. Like it's such a simple, you know. And then and then you had like between, what did you say? 1984. You were right.
84 to 89 was like it's called the ASO now, the organizing committee that runs men's cycling. It wasn't called that then. But the organization that put on the men's tour also put on a women's tour from 84 to 89. An American won it in that first year.
Oh, in 1984.
Go America. Yeah.
Yes.
And then they stopped putting it on because, Sarah, the media just wasn't interested in women biking, and there just wasn't any money, and it was and you're like,
It's the same. I mean, honestly, like weirdly, we just talked about the WNBA, NBA like
Yes.
relationship with, and the pay us what you owe us t-shirts, and literally the argument's the same. Like the folks who own the Tour de France were like, there was like arguments around using their trademark and using their name in order to have like a women's event. And this like argument just like went on. And they were like, it's not viable. We're not doing it. And no, you can't use our name to do it.
Right, because after they stopped doing it, some other people tried to put on their own, and there was like kind of different iterations of people putting on a women's stage race in France. And then they were like, you can't call it a tour. Like we own cycling. Yeah. And then 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was kind of some female cyclists who organized
2014.
2014 with friends with one of the women who is and they got one day. They got a one day.
They got one day. So Catherine Bertine, who's a great friend and did a great job at advocating for this with Marianne Voss, Emma Pooley, and Chrissy Wellington, who was an Ironman champion. And what they called it was they wanted to have a women's tour that went on the same route. And I think what they ideally wanted was it to be either for the women to leave like ahead or behind the men, like on the same day. So you like, so that argument about the media, so that they could kind of like, the media was there, they could kind of fit in. I'm pretty sure that was like really what they wanted in the essence. They ended up with one day, but they called it their Le Tour Entier, which I love. It's like, it means like the whole tour, like the total, you know, meaning like there's something missing if there's no women there. But in the end, they got one day and they called it La Course, and it went for how many, like 8 years or so?
It went for like 8 years, and there's a good Catherine did a good documentary called Half the Road, kind of about the effort to get that. And then kind of coming out of the pandemic, Zwift came on as a title sponsor for the Tour de France Femmes. And we actually talked to Kate Veronneau, who runs women's strategy at Zwift, which is like such a dry title to explain that she basically got the tour to happen. She's very much the like one of the big people behind it, working from Zwift's side. And so she told us a little bit about kind of the growth they've seen, how exciting it is, and what we should look for this year.
Hey, Feisty people. CEO Sarah Gross here. I want to tell you about my favorite product for muscle strength and recovery, which has also become a favorite amongst all of my friends at CrossFit, Prevenex's Muscle Health Plus. A few months ago, I started using it during my lifting sessions. We call it red juice at CrossFit, and it has helped my power, speed, and I've even put on some muscle mass, which has typically been really, really hard for me as an ex-endurance athlete. Muscle Health Plus contains creatine monohydrate, of course, but it also contains branched-chain amino acids and essential amino acids, plus some even more cutting-edge ingredients like HMB and estrogen, all of which are scientifically shown to increase muscle growth, recovery, and strength. So basically, it's a convenient, all-in-one formula that goes way beyond creatine alone. Unlike most supplement brands, Prevenex tests everything with pharmaceutical-grade precision, and they also offer a 100% money-back guarantee. Try Muscle Health Plus today, and you can get 15% off your first order with the code PERFORMANCE at Prevenex.com. That's PERFORMANCE for 15% off at Prevenex.com.
All right, we have Kate Veronneau, the Director of Women's Strategy at Zwift, which I feel like is not a title that fully encompasses how you are one of the people just like behind the scenes here in Tour de France Femmes, avec, Zwift. Like you've been at it since the ground level, right?
I have. Thank you. I'm celebrating over 9 years at Zwift, and this is the most incredible extension of an early commitment we made to growing and elevating women's cycling. So it's great to be in this moment.
I wanted to start by talking about why did you guys want to get involved with bringing, I want to say back because there used to be a Tour de France for women, but why did you want to bring this back? Why was it important to, have a full Grand Tour stage race for the women?
Yeah, the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, it was so important because women's cycling really could not grow without it. This is the biggest stage in the world, and women weren't there. So this partnership came about because it's actually a COVID thing, where over COVID, the actual Tour de France was on pause. It was uncertain if it was going to happen that year, 2020. And we got together with the organizers of the Tour de France and said, let's do it in Zwift. Let's do an exhibition style race in our virtual video game world, because all the pro riders were already using the product. So we did this. We actually even struck up a deal with Eurosport to broadcast it all over the world. And because we were doing it in Zwift, we did both a men's and a women's race. And we did equal broadcast, equal distances, equal opportunity for both women and men for the Tour de France Virtual in 2020. And it was such a success that kicked off a conversation with ASO, the organizers of the tour, for us to come on board as the title sponsor of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, because it was time to bring back a proper women's Tour de France stage race. So we jumped on board, made a 4-year commitment to bringing this to life starting in 2022. And we're delighted by the impact it's made on the sport.
I was looking at the kind of the numbers, the studies, which by the time this episode comes out, will be public, and just about how much has grown and the kind of response you've seen. It's something like 85% of people now think women's cycling is an actual viable profession.
Which makes me so excited because I was first invited to a bike race about 20 years ago. And I saw a pack of men go by. I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden a pack of women went by. And I was like, wait a minute, women race bikes? I didn't even know it because I never had seen it. So, the fact that this race has helped professionalize the sport so much more and make people aware that this is something that not only they can, chase the dream, but they can be a huge fan. They can invest in it. They can follow it. One more great sport to put on your radar.
And you've obviously been on the ground every year. How has it grown? How have the crowds grown? Like, what's the excitement level like?
Oh, it's nuts. Every year I'm like, oh man, that was too good. It can't get better. And then it does. And I'm just over the moon. The crowds by the roadside, just lined on the streets. We've included now, every year has a big queen stage. So you have that epic classic, iconic mountain stage for a tour where people are all up on the mountain. So many cyclists literally ride up to kind of, cheer the peloton on as they go by. You're really seeing so many more fans on the roadside, but the biggest thing is social media and how much that has grown. And it goes along with the narrative we're seeing across women's sports growth is that the content that women create as athletes, the engagement of women's sports fans is excellent. And we've seen incredible growth in that area, and it's doing wonders to bring new sponsors and new fans on board to watch the Femme.
Now I'm curious, like, who are the most popular on social writers? Like, who are the ones that have like really big fan bases?
Well, let's see. Demi Vollering,
Sure.
she won in 2023, and then Kasia Niewiadoma from Canaan's Frames Onto Crypto, winning last year by 4 seconds, the closest margin in the history of the Tour de France. It's incredible. So, but there's there's tons of great ones. It's great.
Oh yeah, I was just curious if there was one I was missing. The social clips that made me cry last year was Kasia winning, and her husband, who's also a pro cyclist, was like running across the field to greet her, and I was like, oh.
There's all these moments. It's and what you're seeing too is they're overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
There's so much positive sentiment around the race and deep engagement, higher engagement around the moments than in general on the men's side of the sport. So that's an area that women excel at as athletes. And so we're seeing that really propel this race to new heights and propel these riders to new heights and bring new sponsors on board, like Nike sponsoring Demi and FDJ Suez is huge.
They put a lot of money in that too.
Massive.
Yeah. So talk to us. Last year you said like it did end on that kind of like Queen stage, very dramatic, like the two of them kind of going at it. What is the preview for us this year? It's 9 days, 9 stages, longest we've ever had.
Right.
Where are like the key moments, the key stages?
Well, the Grand Depart in Brittany. So the cool thing about the race this year, it's entirely in France. It's going to go from the western side of France in Brittany all the way across to the High Alps. The early stages, there's no freebies. It is going to be full on from the start. The first couple stages are like death by 1,000 cuts. It is, it looks like a sawtooth. It's just a million little climbs. So it's going to be full on, a lot of attacks. You don't want to miss a minute of those first couple stages because we all know a lot can happen. You can't win the tour in the first couple stages, but you can lose the tour.
Right.
And then we're going to go clear across France. Those couple middle stages, no rest for the weary. There are, I believe, 3 mountain stage, 2 flat stages, 3 hilly and 1 medium mountain stage. So a lot of climbing this year. So you'll see some epic attacks, probably some incredible breakthrough performances from riders looking to take the opportunity when the world is watching to make a break. And then we go into the High Alps, and the Queen stage on August 2nd is what to watch. The riders are climbing 3,500 meters. That's over 11,000 feet of elevation, a massive stage, the biggest we've had yet in the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Going to be fireworks. So we'll be up there on that Queen stage, watching the Queens throw down. And that will be a huge determiner of who the Queen of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift will be this year.
And there's no time trial this year. No time trial or individual time trial. So for people who don't know, end of the week, it's the cumulative time wins. So coming down to 4 seconds last year is kind of crazy after that many days.
Insane.
And then because you can get the biggest gaps on climbs, that's why you're saying it really comes down, or time trials, we don't have a time trial. That's why it really comes down to these big climbs. And it ends with 2 big climb days, right?
Yes.
Near the end? Yeah.
Yes. The final weekend is 2 back-to-back big mountain stages. So, and the cool thing that we're seeing this year is it's not just about Demi and Kasia. There is so much other talent. We're looking at, Puck Peters from Phoenix to Koenig, winning the white young rider jersey last year. We've got Justine Gerke from AG Insurance, who won the polka dot jersey last year. So there's a bunch of up and comers that are just really crushing it on the climbs and showing that they can hang with the best in the world. And they'll be, supporting other riders as well. So the teams are deeper this year, and it's not just going to come down to, a couple people. There's going to be a lot of support for each team.
Yeah, I feel like that's what we've seen evolve in the last 5 to 7 years as the teams have gotten bigger budgets and like development. Now it's not just a couple of superstars, it's like the whole squad.
Yes. And behaving like a proper squad, proper sprint trains and breakaways and, lead outs up the climb, setting the pace and high, pace going up the climb to try to burn out the competitors. It's going to be
all that kinds of strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Demi Vollering, who won in 2023, and oh man, she wanted to win last year. So she's all eyes on this. And then Kasia beat her last year and is coming back. And then who else do we have? We have Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, the mountain bike Olympic champ, has come over to try and
so
make her
exciting
bid.
From Visma Lisa bike. Yes, Pauline came back to the sport, multi-time world champion, multiple disciplines. She's a fierce rider who won Paris-Roubaix, avec Zwift this year, and has very, very publicly targeted the Tour. We've got Anna van der Breggen, former dominant rider, coming back to SD Works. And it will have Lotte Kopecky on her team as well, who missed last year's race. So it is, there is just so much talent, so much depth of talent. The team tactics are going to be nuts. We've seen Marlon Reusser, former lieutenant for Demi Vollering, now on Movistar, leading her own squad. So, so many countries represented, so much talent represented. It's really going to be epic this year.
I have to ask, because we're both American, is there like an American star we should all be keeping our eyes on?
Oh, absolutely. We'll have Kristen Faulkner, the two-time Olympic gold medalist, riding for EF Education. That she's gonna be targeting the overall GC and definitely some stage wins as well. We've got Veronica Ewers as sensational climber. The rosters have not been released yet, so I'm making some assumptions. We've got Chloe Geiger on Canyon SRAM, Zonda Crypto, who will be working hard for Kasia and going for her own stage wins. Let's see, other American riders.
And Chloe came back from a bad crash at the Olympics.
Yes.
2 Olympics ago. Yeah.
Yes. She's had a couple bumps in the road, but still comes back and, takes the top step. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pick one. Do you have a pick? I'm going to ask you. I know you can't have a favorite. But...
I mean, Demi is the one to beat this year. She is laser focused. I've loved to see how she truly feels like she is the full support of her new team, FDJ Suez. She's going to be definitely the one to target. But Canyon SRAM has a ton of great talent that are going to help Kasia defend her title, and there's a lot that comes with knowing you can do it. But I think there's some wild cards in there too, and then just knowing that anything can happen. Pauline Roykers is just a phenomenal talent that
keeping your eye on her.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I don't, I can't have a favorite, honestly. I do think Demi's the one to beat. I think that's pretty clear, but I really like to see especially the breakthrough performances because a win, a jersey win, a win on a stage can make a career, and to see the opportunities that come from getting the spotlight on this world stage is what excites me the most.
And tell us a little bit, last question, like when you're there, I've heard it's a ton of women in the media. Like we had some of our team there last year. It's like all women in the media room. It's all like more women behind the scenes, more women staff. It's just like a different vibe. So what else besides the actual racing? I hear the fits are a big deal. Like picking your outfit for the day is a big deal.
Fits are a big deal. So definitely pay attention. You just want to follow all the social action around the race because there's like stories within the stories. The fits are going to be outstanding. So much coverage. So many women's voices elevated at the race. The thing I'm really excited about this year is we've introduced a proper L'Etape de Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So a L'Etape de Tour de France is a Grand Fondo style event. It's a mass start cycling event where everybody in the world is invited to come and compete and to ride a stage of the race. This is the first year that we're having a women's one. The one that happens at the men's race is about 14,000 riders, sells out immediately. It's about 6% women. And this is the first year we've introduced a L'Etape du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. And we're at 6,000 riders, 33% women are doing the queen stage of the race too. So we're going to go out there and we're going to actually complete that full stage 8 that is over 3,000 meters, and just have a big party at the top. And then you ride up the stage and then you can actually hang out and watch the femme from up there. So that's a big moment.
You have to start pretty early to get done before them.
Way early. It's like a 6 a.m. start. You'll have a sea of people going up the climb, all wearing watch the femme kits, bringing the energy. And that's what our dream is, that this race inspires participation, that inspires women especially to come out and chase their goals. And to enjoy the scenery, enjoy the race action, and also have their own individual challenge. So it's going to be a special day.
Well, it sounds like it'll be fun. I'm sad we're not going this year, but
we're going to miss you. But we know the coverage is still going to be great. So,
and you have to tell us how it is there. So good luck. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey, strong feisty women! If you haven't signed up for our free weekly Feisty 40 Plus newsletter yet, what are you waiting for? It's got all the training and nutrition news you can use, a weekly workout from Dr. Carla DiGirolamo, who is also a CrossFit health provider, so she knows her stuff, and badass women like yourself doing all kinds of cool stuff. Head on over to feistymenopause.com and sign up today. It's totally free and made just for you.
One of the things I didn't realize, because a lot of this we had heard before from Kate, because we've talked to her on and off of these. I didn't realize that they were doing a big mass participation ride this year for the Queen stage, and that they've had so many women sign up. That is really cool.
That's such a great idea. I'm surprised it took till this year to do it, but I think it's a fantastic idea. I think we should have a tour where amateurs can ride the whole thing too.
Yeah, well, people do bike tours ahead of the men's, and I'm sure they do ahead of the women's too. Less of a thing yet. Yeah. But yeah, I really wanted to, and I know she said they have to start very, very early to get done before the riders get to the top. But I kind of want to know how early would I have to start? Would it take me 10 hours? Do I need to start 3 a.m. to be done in time?
Well, I think if I recall, this is the men's tour when I was living in France. Okay. So it's slightly different probably for the women's tour, but I was a pro triathlete at the time.
Right.
But I used to do this climb during training where the tour came through one year, and it was a one on my regular training route. And it was a pretty steady climb. It wasn't that steep. And I used to climb it at about 20 Ks an hour, so you're moving. It was a long climb, but you're steady. When the tour came through, they climbed it at 40 Ks an hour. Okay. Yeah. And I remember being they're literally going twice as fast as me. And I was a pro athlete at the time. So I think, Kelly, we'd probably have to give ourselves double the time of whatever they're expecting the stage to take. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm. I think we should do this next year. I know. So one of our colleagues who runs our cycling brand went to the Tour de France Femmes last year, and they were basically spent all their time driving between the logistics are just crazy. So I don't want to do that, but I would so maybe we just go and we just ride it ahead of the riders.
We could do the ride with this is one of those things that sounds easy in practice, but or in right now, but then in practice would be ridiculously hard. But we could just put our phones in our pockets.
Yeah.
And then go and ride ahead of time, and then get beautiful videos of the French countryside and the riders coming through, and then just ride to a hotel, pay with our credit card, wash our cycling kit in the sink, and do it again the next day. That'll work, right?
Yeah, totally. This sounds like something I would want to do. I will say, so last year's Tour de France Femmes, super, super exciting. Mm-hmm. Kasia Niewiadoma ended up winning by 4 seconds, which is the smallest amount in any tour, men's or women's, that anyone's ever won by. And it came down to the very last stage. And like we were saying before, you know, the people who are fighting for the win were not the winners of that day. But she knew that Demi Vollering was in second. Demi Vollering really wanted to win. Demi Vollering won in 2023. And Demi had a crash earlier in the week, and it was like a big controversy. People are still arguing about it. Demi's still a little sore about it, as she's been posting on her Instagram stories, because she lost. She like lost time after the crash.
Right.
So on that very last day, Demi like went off, took off, and knew she had to put in enough time on Kasia to take the overall lead, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's going off the front, and then Kasia knows that she can't let too much time to put it. So she's just trying to, and she ended up, and so she's behind Demi, but nobody knew like how much until she crossed the line. And when she crossed the line, she had held on by just like 4 seconds. It was crazy. Where I was going with this was Kasia's husband is also a pro cyclist. And last year, in order to watch her on all the stages and be ahead, like we said, it's really like logistically complicated, as like all our colleagues will attest. So he was riding ahead and camping like every night to like be able to like be up there before the roads got closed down, to like be there for her. And so like he was just like camping in fields, like running on the side, like it was crazy. So there's this video of him just like running like through a field to like get to the finish as she's finishing.
Oh yeah, I remember that video.
Yeah. And it was like crazy. And I was just like, I mean, I was like crying, but it was like, it was great, right? It was like, this is, and he like finds her and they're like hugging through the fence. It was very, I know. And then so I saw somebody post it and be like, be a tailor to someone's Kasia.
Right.
Like go out there and do this for your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story. Yeah.
So I don't know that we're going to have that dramatic a tour this year.
Oh, I hope we do,
maybe.
though.
Wow.
And we have 9 stages this year. Is that right?
9 stages.
So it went from like
and-
7 to 8 to 9, right? Through these first 4 years. Yeah.
And starts this Saturday. The first so many stages are technically like flat, but kind of like Kate said, they're very up and down for the first 3 days. So it's definitely a little steep, punchy climbs. Then there's like 2 actual like very flat kind of sprinter stages where I think we'll see some of the sprinters. And then starting at the very end of next week. So it starts this Saturday on the 26th. So it ends the following Sunday on August, what is that? 3rd? 4th? But starting the end of the week, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it gets like progressively crazier. And so there's like a bunch of like climbing stages at the end there. And the Queen stage is the Saturday where they end on like a famous climb, like Col du Madeleine. And it's going to be like very, very epic on that Saturday. But then it's not over. That is like they still have another day on Sunday.
Right. They do like the men do. They like do a little.
No, it is not so the men do a little like celebratory lap around. This is not celebratory on the Sunday.
Oh,
it is
okay.
Still,
it's still a
big
stage.
climb.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, if it's like close, then someone will try and go for it on the very last day.
Yeah.
And we're making a little bit of guesses about who will be there because every team could bring whoever they want on their team. But I think we assume like Demi really, really, really wants to win. She's a little hostile about not having won last year. And she's a very, very big deal at home. Like Nike sponsors her. Nike's put a lot of money into her. Kasia will be back. We also have some people who have like really shown their form in, the Giro, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, Tour de Suisse. We also have, which I think is fascinating, some people who retired and then have now seen how big the Tour de France Femmes Zwift is and have
are
come
coming
back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and you have like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, the French mountain bike champion, has made the switch over to back to road. Like she was a road cyclist 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because she's like, this is too big a deal.
Because she wants to. I mean, totally.
Yeah.
I would do that. That's yeah. Yeah. I feel that in my bones. Like if like the sport that you were, that you just like struggled, you like sofa surfed to make it happen and you made your career like that. And then and then suddenly you have this and you're still young enough to go out and have a crack at it and you get on a team. I would do that too.
You do that too.
I thought it was really interesting what Kate said that like women's cycling, like at the beginning when she was like, because she had to go and pitch to Zwift to become the title sponsor of the Tour de France Femmes, and like that women's cycling would not be viable without the Tour de France Femmes. And that was like an interesting connect the dots point, I think.
Yeah.
That like, it's like, okay, you had all these other women's cycling events going on, but like the Tour de France was so big in the cycling psyche that you had to have like a women's version in order to like grow the sport. And
Right,
I think
otherwise
that,
people are like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, and she's kind of been right about that, which like just ties back to these riders, these retired riders who might still have it in their legs coming back and like, let's go, you know?
Like Anna Vanderbergen came back. The other thing I think is interesting about Zwift's sponsorship is that they committed to 5 years. It's through next year.
Okay.
Because, and I think one of the things we've seen a lot of times when people are like, oh, we want to get more women in, they commit for like a year and then they're like, oh, we didn't solve systemic sexism in like a year and a half. That's weird. And then they're like, they're done. They're like, well, we didn't see it. And so
Yeah.
it takes, and so it's only now, I will say it's like even like a year or two ago,
Yep.
we were not seeing the ripple effects yet. And now we're seeing, okay, there are more women riding. There are more, like Lottie Kopecky is like massive in the Netherlands. And literally like more girls are signing up for cycling now because they saw, but it takes a little while, right? Like you can't, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right. And then it takes a little while for a company like Zwift to see an ROI on that, because like not
Right.
just so you're like, you're making a play that grows the whole sport, right, for women, and then the trickle down onto your tech platform is another level. Yeah. Yeah.
But you can see, I will say, a lot of them do like Zwift, like team, like rides and stuff, which is kind of fun. Like I'm not a big indoor rider because I'm in California, but like they do a lot of, you can ride with some of these people, like some of these athletes, which is kind of cool. You can also follow a lot of them on Strava and you can see their, like after the stage, you can see their
routes.
effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
And their like power numbers and all that. So that's cool.
It's the
so it is very
equivalent of like
accessible,
of watching a Twitch stream of the WNBA
totally the same.
weekend. It's like like the behind the scenes, like how fast were they riding? Where did they ride? Who did they ride with? Yeah.
And for people who are in the weeds and love like the power numbers and the heart rate data, you could like to see it after somebody also like wins a stage is cool, because then you can be like, oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say then you can be like, I could do it, but actually you'd be like, oh yeah, no, I can't do that.
Kind of like me living in France.
So I will say, the last thing I want to say though about the Tour de France Femmes, super exciting. We will have some coverage on the Feisty Media Instagram accounts and on our Girls Gone Gravel cycling account. We have like some people we're collaborating with over there on the ground. I will say that a couple weeks ago on the podcast, when I said that I think women's racing can be more exciting because it's developed into its own thing, it's punchier, it's faster, there's not a lot of wasted days, and that I find the men's Grand Tours boring. Holy shit, did I trigger a bunch of dudes?
Oh no.
Like, oh my God, the amount of dudes in my notifications telling me that I obviously don't understand cycling.
Well, and you
is-
weren't saying that like I can hear Ollie. You weren't
my
saying
kid is crying.
yeah. You weren't saying that like men's cycling is boring. You were saying that the format, like it's like they didn't even take it, like the format of the 3 weeks, and it's just like it just like drags on a little bit and it's not as punchy.
I just thought there's a lot. And the reason I know there are a lot of empty days is because when I was 25, I watched every single stage of the Tour de France, and I read like the preview booklet every year. And partially there wasn't a women's tour to watch, so I watched the men's every day. Also, I was 25 and I had 4 hours a day to devote to watching cycling. And so part of me is like, wow, dudes, like chill out. Someone can call your thing boring. It's fine.
Yeah.
But secondly, when I said I don't have 4 hours a day to watch cycling for 3 weeks, every woman I know was like, yeah, no shit. All these guys are
Right.
like, you just don't understand. If you have 4 hours a day to watch cycling for 3 weeks, you should ask yourself, who is taking care of things in your life to give you that time?
Yeah. No
Especially if you have
kidding, hey?
kids. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
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 No.
I mean, it's gonna happen, Kelly. We're gonna trigger.
So apparently
people.
these dudes have a lot of time, is all I'm saying.
And enough time to argue with you about it.
Right. Not just to watch
In addition.
4 hours. In addition. Yeah.
Because like the men's tour is on, right? So
It is currently on. And it's,
Yes.
they've been good tours. But yeah, there's a lot of downtime in between the highlights. So, all right, to finish up, Sarah, what are your feisty picks of the week? Are you ready for
Okay.
mine?
Oh yeah, let's do yours. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm low-key obsessed with American Ninja Warrior. If
I
people
love
don't
it.
know. Yes. And there's all these different things. Like women are very popular, but they don't, it's like hard, right? For like the women to do as well because like upper body strength and size and all that. Anyway, just the fourth woman ever to make it through semifinals, national semifinals, went through last week. And it was like, and she hit the buzzer. It's very exciting. And then last night, after we were recording this, the fifth woman ever did, and I'm talking like ever.
Oh.
Like the first person to do it was 10 years ago in 2014.
Yeah, I remember.
And like only 2 other women had done it in the decade since.
Yeah.
So then you get the fourth woman a week ago in the first semifinals. And then yesterday, this 17-year-old became the fifth woman ever. And if you,
She's 17.
She's 17. And I gotta say, like, she looks like a normal 17-year-old. I think she's just like very good at the skills, like the hand, and has excellent hand grip.
Right.
Strength.
Yeah.
And if you don't watch these things, they are just like very, very exciting. It's like a very exciting 4 minutes because you just don't know. And you're just like, what's going to happen?
You got me into American Ninja Warrior, and I do also love it. So I'm gonna tune into this now.
Yeah. So Taylor Green, 17-year-old, Isabella Folsom was the the fourth woman. And so they're both through to the national finals, which will air in 2 weeks. So
Yes.
it's very exciting.
Okay. My pick of the week was Sabrina Ionescu in that 3-point competition. We talked about a little bit at the top of the show, but like I forgot. Well, first of all, we remember her, was it last year or the year before, taking on Steph Curry
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago, and like really coming within 3 points of like she came second in the NBA 3-point competition. So I like there's something so satisfying. If people have not watched, there's something so satisfying about watching someone just hit like 3-pointer after 3-pointer and like swish, swish, swish. And then they go to the next station, swish, swish. And like, I don't know that I cannot, you have to watch it to understand like the deep satisfaction that comes from that. But that's my pick of the week.
Okay. Good. All right, next week we'll be back with Tour de France Femmes updates, and we're gonna CrossFit Games. We have a CrossFit champ joining us, right?
Yeah. Can't wait to talk to Ariel. And we'll bring you that next week. And yeah, that's it. So subscribe to the podcast, review us, rate us, share with your friends. We're in week 5. We're trying to grow. And if you like us, share us, and come join the women's sports movement with us.